everyone, welcome to Palestinapodden. We have the pleasure of introducing this panel discussion that was in Oslo, 11th of December, from Hiroshima to Gaza, with Hiroshima survivor Rumi Hanagaki and photojournalist and photographer Motaz Azaiza, led by South African activist Nosizwe Baqwa. This is a really unique conversation, so we hope you listen and learn, and please spreading the word about Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Munlan mahtele maha isaha Brittelina Ella Marie. My name is Ella Marie Hætta Isaksen, and it felt only right to open this evening with a joik for the children of Palestine. And now, before we move on into this deeply, deeply touching conversation with massively important voices, I want to kindly ask you all to join me in 1 minute of silence for those who were killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and for those who have been killed in Gaza. 1 minute in silence and a life in solidarity. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Beatrice Fihn, and it's really special to see so many people show up here tonight. At times, I think it feels like a very, very difficult moment in time, very dark days. And I might just try to soak in this a little bit to remember when things feel very tough, how many people there are who want something better, who wants to fight for a better world. As I said, I'm Beatrice Fihn. I had the honor to accept the Nobel Peace Prize in 2017 on behalf of the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, a campaign working to prohibit and eliminate nuclear weapons, and also a campaign that has, since its inception, and it comes from a tradition of humanitarian disarmament that really centers survivors, the human impact of war, which has been a central principle. Now I run a foundation called Lex International Fund, which works to both strengthen and enforce international law. And of course, as you probably know, yesterday, Nihon Hidankyo accepted the Nobel Peace Prize in 2024. It's the organization representing the survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These brave individuals have working relentlessly for soon almost 8 decades to share their stories, to talk about some of the most traumatic things that can happen to people, to make sure that it doesn't happen again. They keep reliving the worst day of their lives to protect us. And at the same time, as we celebrate the Nobel Peace Prize, Israel's bombs keeps on falling on Gaza relentlessly. And I know from my conversations with many survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki that since October last year, they have said that the pictures and the videos and the images from Gaza reminds them exactly of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All of the survivors that are still with us were very small children at the time, and they're seeing the pictures of small children in Gaza right now going through what they go through. And certainly, the US atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the now 14-month-long Israeli massacre on Gaza they're very different in many ways. All atrocities, genocides, war crimes are of course special to that case. But they do share some very strong similarities as well, and you can see some patterns. And personally for me, a free Palestine was actually the first issue that first international issue that I really cared about. It was the one that I thought was really important when I grew up. And it wasn't until later that I discovered nuclear weapons and kind of understood also a little bit of why I sometimes also got involved in the nuclear weapons issues, because I saw how much these things have in common. After World War II, the world kind of come together to make sure that that kind of suffering of the World War II didn't happen again. We developed United Nations, in an International Court of Justice, we developed the Geneva Conventions, the Human Rights Treaties. But that system that we tried to put in place after World War II to protect people, it included some fundamental flaws, some structural flaws. One of those flaws was, of course, how the state of Israel came in and on which land and the injustice in that. Another flaw is, of course, giving 5 nations permanent seat in the Security Council and veto power over these things. And of course, by accepting that some countries have nuclear weapons, we're like, that's kind of normal. So these structural problems in the international system that we have were born at the same time. And these issues are root causes of an unjust world order. And they continue to come up again and again to really block genuine peace. And when I look at Palestine, and when I look at nuclear weapons, and the way the nuclear armed states act, it's like the most powerful countries in the world are telling us to not believe what we see. That this is a special situation, that is too complicated, that normal rules don't apply there. The hypocrisy and injustice is so clear on both these issues, that there's one rule for them and another for the others. And they're trying to pretend that it's normal and that we are the strange people for calling it out. And it's almost like, I feel like a global gaslighting at times. And same thing with nuclear deterrence. The theory behind nuclear weapons and Israel's genocide in Gaza also comes from the same kind of thinking, that these self-selected states, when they feel under an existential threat, they take the right to do whatever they want. They massacre whole cities in the name of self-defense. And that's an incredibly worrying instinct that we have to fight back on. There's no threat that justifies genocide, war crimes, and nuclear annihilation. And it's not a coincidence that Israel is a nuclear-armed state. It's not a coincidence that nuclear-armed Russia is invading Ukraine, that a nuclear-armed United States had an illegal invasion of Iraq, that nuclear-armed United Kingdom and France colonized big parts of the world. And it's not a coincidence that the South African apartheid regime not only had nuclear weapons, but also helped Israel develop its nuclear weapons. But it's also not a coincidence that the South Africa that ended apartheid became a democracy, disarmed its nuclear arsenals, and now is one of the champion states and most outspoken governments for nuclear disarmament and a free Palestine. So these two things are inherently linked. So I'm so pleased to be able to welcome you tonight to this conversation with Motaz and Rumi, someone who survived the genocide in Gaza and someone who survived the atomic bombings in Nagasaki. With the stories that they share, they genuinely save lives. They fight back against genocide. They show us that no, actually, it's not that complicated. It's really quite simple. And we know that power of these words, stories, photos, because we know that those in powers are causing torment, committed genocidal acts. They do everything they can to keep it silent, to make it difficult for us to see clearly. The US government hid images of Hiroshima and Nagasaki for 7 years from the Japanese public and decades longer from the rest of the world, where it took many, many, many years for the world to see what actually happened there. And in Gaza, the Committee to Protect Journalists has recorded at least 137 journalists killed as of yesterday, and of course that number is probably higher. And the Israeli government has kept media outlets from accessing Gaza over to cover the conflict. The role that journalists in Gaza and the survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki play in showing the truth cannot be underestimated. But we cannot just be here to listen to their stories. I want to challenge you all a little bit by being here tonight, by coming here tonight. That comes with a responsibility. It comes with a responsibility to act, because we can do more and we must do more. And I personally believe deeply in international law's ability to help us see what is right and what is wrong, no matter if it's ourselves, our friends, or our adversaries. It helps us see through that it's complicated. Things like the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, the Geneva Conventions, the International Court of Justice rulings and advisory opinions, the arrest warrants of the International Criminal Courts are tools that can help us see clearly what is right and what is wrong. But these instruments, they don't solve the problems for us. Only people can do that. And I would really like to encourage you, everyone here tonight, to continue to actually work, I know many of you are, but to support and engage with the work of ICAN Norway, with the work of Aksjonsgruppa for Palestina and Palestinakomiteen in Norge, to really make sure that we do this work long term, that we continue to fight for this. So with that, I want to say welcome. I am so, so glad and honored that you are all here with us tonight. And I would love to please hand over to our moderator for the evening, Nosizwe Baqwa.
Israel has dropped more than 25,000 tons of explosives on the Gaza Strip since the start of their large-scale attack on the 7th of October 2023, equivalent to at least 2 nuclear bombs. This has been documented by several human rights organizations. Just last week, Amnesty International launched a report confirming that what Israel is doing in Gaza indeed can be defined as a genocide. The medical journal, The Lancet, estimated earlier this year that the number of dead in Gaza are many more than 45,000. Counting those who die of diseases, hunger, and lack of medical attention, the number is at least 186,000, probably higher, and counting. In August of 1945, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, instantly killing several hundred thousands of people. The aftermath, with the atomic waste and the following health issues, not to mention the wounds and the souls of the survivors, everyone who lost a loved one, and the coming generations, is hard to comprehend. A common thread of the brutality from Hiroshima to Gaza is the supplying of weapons of war by the United States. They bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they continue to provide Israel with the weaponry means to continue with genocide. Sadly, Norway is also complicit in genocide in our extensive investments in Israel's occupation. This year, the survivors of the atomic bombings, the Hibakusha, are awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for their relentless work for the abolishment of nuclear weapons. There is going to be a series of pictures that will be shown behind us during our conversation. The pictures from Gaza are taken by Motaz Azaiza, and in tandem we will be showing pictures from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, taken by various photographers. Tonight we have come here to bear witness, to listen, so that we can continue to fight. Fight for all those people who have been mercilessly killed. Fight for those who remain. It is an impossible task to ask our guests to keep going and to keep fighting. The impossible has already been asked of them. And they have done it. They have done the impossible, the unimaginable, of having to stand up, to rise, and to fight. They did not choose this life. Unspeakable pain and suffering forced them from their homes and into the world. So when I ask them to come on stage, I would be so honored if you would do me the honor of standing for them. I would be so honored if Miss Rumi Hanagaki could come on stage with her translator, Sumiko Hatekayama. And I would be so honored if Mr. Motaz Azaiza could come onto the stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi.
Honored guests, I would love to set an intention for this evening. In honor of your work, we will share stories with each other and the about 1,000 people who have come here to listen to you this evening, so that you may know that we are in this fight together, even though it may at times feel like you are all alone. To remind us of the ways our struggles are interconnected, to learn from each other. I wish to set the intention today that we will give you energy, that we will give you strength for all that you have given and for all that you give. And I know it may be hard to receive, but I wish for us to give it. Just by being here, we are deeply thankful, humbled, and inspired. I would like to give the floor to you, Ms. Hanagaki, to share your story with us.
日本の京都から来ました花垣ルミと申します。
My name is Hanagaki Rumi. I come from Kyoto in Japan.
私は5歳の時に広島で原爆に遭いました。
When I was 5 years old, I experienced the atomic bombing of Hiroshima.
それは母と一緒に避難を、東京に戦争が激しくなってきたので、広島の母の実家へ避難したつもりでした。
I used to live in Tokyo before the atomic bombing. However, because I thought countryside would be safer, I went to Hiroshima to live the whole time, and Hiroshima was my mother's parents' house.
避難したつもりだったんですけれども、8月1945年8月6日8時15分、原爆が落とされました。
So I thought I escaped the most horrible aspect of the war, and yet August 6, 1945, 8:15 a.m., an atomic bomb was dropped onto the city of Hiroshima.
それは地面がちょうどこの大きな建物もそうですけれども、それがいきなり持ち上がってボーンと持ち上がって体も浮き上がるような大きな衝撃でした。でその衝撃と一緒に炎が熱射っていうんですが、それが一度にやってきて、で私が被爆したところは 1.7 キロのとこでした。それでも熱風というか熱射というかそういうものが来て、周りももうすぐ火災になりました。
So I would say it was a huge shock, and it felt like a big building like this would, float, would be lifted, and I felt that power. And soon after, I felt the fire. We call it heat ray. And I was exposed to the atomic bombing 1.7 kilometers away from the hypocenter. But even then, it was very hot. I could feel the heat ray. And the surrounding area started getting fire.
家の中で私は2階にいたんですけれども、2階の窓枠と、それから飛んできた後ろに置いてあったタンスって分かるかな、タンスが飛んできて、そのタンスの角っこが私の頭に当たりました。でその頭に当たってくさび分かるかな、くさびって、くさび、そのくさびがついたところが頭に当たって、そこが折れてしまって、くさびごと頭に刺さりました。
So I was inside the house. I was on the second floor, and there was some window frame. The window frames had come out, and so did the drawers. And the corner of a drawer hit my head, and the metal part at the corner of the drawer, it stuck in my head.
で私はそこの窓でそのまま止まって、ここ窓際のところの3のところで頭が挟まれて、ここがバシッと切れたりで、ふっとそのまま窓の外を見ると、母が弟をおんぶして松の木のそばで倒れていました。
So my forefront got cut because I hit my head on the window. I looked outside, and outside of the house, I saw my mother with my younger brother lying down beneath the pine tree.
で倒れた母はすぐ私の窓の方を見てくれて、そして目があって、それから台所にいたおばと隣の部屋にいたおばあちゃんを一緒に逃げなきゃいけないって助け出したのですけれども、リアカーってわからないかもしれない、そのリアカーっていうのを持ってきて、でそこへおばあちゃんを乗っけて、で逃げました。で川のそばの竹やぶ、わかる？ダム。
So my mother was lying down, but I realized that she was looking up, and we saw each other, and we confirmed that we were alive. Soon after, we went to the kitchen to find my aunt and my grandmother, and we rescued both of them. And we had to put my grandmother on a rickshaw car to carry to somewhere she could take rest.
で逃げるんですけれども、竹やぶの方へとりあえずは逃げました。川のそばにあります。でそこには鶏小屋、養鶏場があって、その養鶏場の鶏が原爆で建物も壊れ、鶏も手がちぎれたり足がちぎれて頭がちぎれたり、また元気なのもいたりして、一人のおじいさんが後ろに横たわってるおじいさんの体をコツコツコツコツコツつつくんです。
So we went toward a bamboo forest near the river, and there was where they used to grow chicken, and we saw a lot of them with no heads, no arms, no legs. A few of them which survived, it was picking up the body of an old man who was lying down on the floor.
でもそのおじいさんがもう体がかなり弱っていて、もう傷だらけで、意識もあまりなくて、そしてその鶏をかすかに動く指で追おうとするんですけども、なかなか追えなくて、そして私も怖いからできなくて、そして隣にいた母が棒切れを拾ってシッと おったんですね。でそのシーンだけを私すごくよく覚えていて、でどうしようかな、周りがもうね、そこの竹やぶも火がついて、竹やぶもトルネードのようにうわーっとこう竜巻のように火の粉が舞ってしまうんです。風が吹いて、そしてそれが火の粉がいっぱい落ちてきて、竹が膨らんで、節々がこういうふうに膨らんできます。節がこうあったら、そこがこうポンとこう膨らんできて、ものすごく破裂音がカーンカーンと破裂します。竹やぶ中響く。
The old man was very weak. He was almost unconscious. He had still some energy to try to get rid of the chick that was trying to pick him, but he was not successful. So my mother went to him and took a wooden stick and got rid of the bird. And somehow I remember that scene very vividly. Another thing I remember is that the bamboo forest very quickly took fire, and the fire sparkles were around, and the fire somehow swallowed the bamboo trees, and the sound of the bamboos cracking, kan, kan. I remember those sounds.
で竹やぶも火がすごく広くなってきて、また逃げなきゃいけないっていうので逃げ出すんですけれども、だけれども私は裸足で逃げてまして、でそこらに落ちてる下駄とかそういうものを拾って母が履かせてくれましたけれども、それもすぐダメになりました。で
The fire was getting bigger and bigger, so we had to escape. I realized I had no shoes. My mother was trying to find random shoes that we could find, so I tried to put them on, but it didn't work. Things like that.
でまたみんなで逃げるんですけれども、その場所でもう亡くなっている人とか、それからもう動けない人とか、そういう人たちをもう大人たちは仕方がないから置いていく。そして亡くなっている人にはごめんなさいって手を合わせて行くんですけれども、道中で逃げてる最中に赤ちゃんを抱っこして、でおっぱいをあげてるお母さんに3組ぐらい私は会いました。一番最初のお母さんはに母が声をかけて、そして私たちと一緒に行きましょうって言ったら、その人が指をさして、あそこの下に3歳の息子がいるから私は行けませんって言いました。
So we started escaping again, and along the way we would see a lot of dead people or people who couldn't move anymore. And I think what the adults were doing, they wanted to help, but there was no way they could help all the people. So when we passed by the people who were already dead, we were, making prayer and passed by them. And on the way, we also saw at least 3 mothers who were breastfeeding their babies. And when we passed by one of them, the first one, we say, let's go, we have to go. It's dangerous to stay here. But then the mother said, pointing at the house nearby, my son, 3-year-old, he's still underneath. I can't go.
その瓦礫を周りに一緒にいる人が一生懸命外して助けようとしたんですけれども、火の手が回ってきてどうしても助けることができなかった。そしてその親子を置いてごめんなさいって言いながら逃げていったんですけれども、私は今でもその親子がどうしているかとても気になっていて、生き延びてくれただろうかとか、そういうふうなことを思いますし、でその場面で一つだけではなくて何度もそういうシーンを見ています。
So, the rebels were there and people were trying to, clear the way so that they can escape the mother's son. But it was taking too much time and the fire was getting nearer and nearer. So we, my mother and I, we had to give up. We had to go. So we said, very sorry, we have to go. And I still wonder whether the mother and the child, if they survived. And even today, I still wonder whether they have survived. And it's just one, but there were many scenes like that.
犬や猫も万歳をした格好で死んでいます。そして焼けかけた松の木とか桜の木とかそういう木には夏ですからセミがいっぱい止まっているんですけれども、その止まったまま亡くなってます。
Not just humans, dogs, cats, and pine trees, cherry trees. Because it was summer, a lot of seagulls staying on the tree, and it looked like the moment had stopped.
その木の下には幼虫やさなぎがいっぱい浮いてきて、ミミズも出てきて、虫たちも出てきて、そして地面の上でなぜかみんな死んでいます。
And if I look down, on the ground beneath the tree, I would see a lot of insects coming up on the ground, but then after they come out, they die.
そういう5歳で目線が低いから私はそういうことしか見えていませんが、でもそれからまた歩いていくとふっと今で言ったら5メーターかそれぐらいしか空いてないような場所で噴水のように水が噴き出しているところがありました。その噴き出している水の周りに黒いものがいっぱいあって丸くあって、そしてみんながそこへ寄ってお水が欲しいからみんな寄っていきました。で寄っていったらそこはもうお水を求めて亡くなっている人が固まっているんです。頭を水の方に向けて亡くなっていました。でその人たちが私はいつもそれを思うんですけれど、あの時はもうみんなが本当に水が欲しくてお水って言いながら亡くなっていく人がほとんどでした。けれどもその人たちはお水のそばで亡くなったその人たちはたとえ一雫の水でも口にすることができたかなって思うとまだちょっとはマシだったかなと思ったりもしています。
Well, remember I was 5 years old, so I was very small. So what I saw was, on the ground, insects, things like that. But another thing I remember is that, there was a water stream coming out of a particular point of the ground. And I saw a crowd heading toward the stream because back at that time, everybody was craving for water. And we were told that, if you give water to people in that situation, they would die. But a lot of people were still craving for water, going around water and trying to get some water. And, looking back, I think if they were going to die anyway, why would we not give at least a drop of water so that they can have some water before they die? That's another thing that I still think today, were they able to get the last drop before they die?
もう一組は赤ちゃんを抱っこしたお母さんに出会ったんですけれども、その赤ちゃんはもうすでにもう私が5歳でも亡くなっているなっていうのが分かるのは、もう首をお母さんの心のところでタランと垂れてました。だからもう多分亡くなっているんだろうなって思いながら、でもお母さんはその子を抱きしめたままぼんやりと座っていました。で私たちはまだその人を置いて母たちと逃げるんですけれども、で逃げたとこが岬っていう山なんですね。山の麓に私たちはたどり着いて、でそこにはもう本当にたくさんの人たちがもう避難して来られてて、横たわっている人もいれば呆然と座っている人もいれば、そういう人たちのそばに私たちのリアカーってわかるかな、リアカーを置いて、でおばあちゃんにおばあちゃんって私が声をかけました。するとおばあちゃんは私の顔を見てうわーっと泣き出しました。でどうしておばあちゃんが泣き出したのかわからなかったんですけれど、後で気がついたんですが、私は頭に鎖が刺さったまま、そして顔中傷だらけで血だらけで、耳も傷がして、で髪の毛も抜けたり、なんかいっぱい頭も怪我して体も怪我して血みどろになっていて、その姿を見ておばあちゃんは泣いたと思います。で弟をおんぶしてた母にお母さん豊ちゃんがかわいそうって声をかけました。
Another, people I remember from that day is another mother with a baby, and I was 5 years old, but even to my eye, it was very clear that the baby was already dead. The neck of the baby was, completely, didn't have any energy. But even then, the mother was trying to still believe that the baby was alive, and she was trying to cuddle the baby very hard and looking very mindless and hopeless. My mother and I continued our journey to escape. We went to the mountain called Misaki Mountain. Again, many people lying down on the floor, mindless, looking very blank. And it was then that we were finally able to stop the car that we were pulling, and we had our grandmother lying down on that car. And when my grandmother regained consciousness, she started crying very hard. She was clearly looking at me, and she was crying. And then, looking back, I realized, I had the metal part still stuck in my head, and I was bleeding heavily. My head, and my face was covered with blood. My ears were wounded. My hair was a mess, and everywhere in my head and my body, it was full of wounds.
弟のことをお母さん、豊香ちゃんがかわいそうって言ったら、まあ慌ててごめんなさいごめんなさいって弟に謝りながら背中から下ろしました。朝からずっとおんぶされたまんまだったので下ろして、そしておむつを替えようとしたら、そのお尻におむつがくっついて、お尻の皮ごと取れてしまいました。もう弟はもう体を丸めてどこへも出せずに丸まったままでしたけれども、していたエプロンを裂いてお尻を拭いて、そして新しくまた裂いたのおむつそっと当てて、でおっぱいをあげるんですけれども、おっぱいがもう母の神経があれになってて、おっぱい出なくなってました。OK。
ここで終わりにしないといけないけどいいですか？Yeah, sure. And so my younger brother was on my mother's back, and suddenly my mother realized that he was on her back. So, he put him off, and my mother tried to change his diaper, but when she tried to change the diaper, the skin came off entirely together. And my mother was in shock, and she tried to put a new piece of cloth on him, and she started breastfeeding, but because of the shock, her breast wouldn't come out either. So the situation on that day was like that. It was living hell.
Thank you for sharing, Ms. Hanagaki. I'm sorry we couldn't listen to you to complete the whole story, but I really want to come back to ask you some questions. Thank you.
I want to
I wanted to give you, Motaz, the same opportunity to share whatever you feel to begin with that you'd like to share.
And a good quality. Thanks for all the journalists on the ground who guarantee you to watch in a good quality and massacres happening to us. As I said, you all saw something. Maybe you didn't see everything, and I'm sure nobody saw everything. Even me, as I was and raised in Gaza, I didn't witness everything. There's a lot of stories that no one was there to tell and to document, and a lot of bad things happen worse than what you saw. What you see is maybe not as violent as what's really happening on the ground, like what's happening in the north of Gaza Strip, where there's no connection, no house, and no media to cover. For your information now, the north of Gaza Strip now is empty from the people, especially Jabalia camp and these areas. Not a lot to say, as I mentioned, because you all witnessed, you all saw, you all like have phones, you can go and see, you can decide to see or not. But all I care about here today is just to give you a push. I know, as she said, I should get some hope from you, but I want to be the one who will motivate you to continue, because the problem with the Palestinian cause, sometimes as Palestinians we feel it's like a trendy cause. When something happens, people cares. When it's go down, people turn their backs. Maybe not in a bad way, but this is what happened actually. So I just want to make sure that don't deal with the Palestinian cause as a trendy cause. Like it's now a year, okay, we feel bored, it's enough, we will hear about it. Because I don't want us, Palestinians, especially the people of Gaza, to be like the old Americans, the Indians who are living in America, the real Americans. So yeah, I don't want to be like that. So this is what I have to say. I'm a guy who likes to act more. I was like in love with myself on the ground there. But here I don't like myself a lot, just taking the mic and every time experience a new mic to speak to the people. So what I'm looking for is like a help from my people, because we are so desperate for any kind of help. Yeah, even once of time there was Asian man who entered Gaza with the ICRC, and he brought us some chocolate. So this is a kind of help that we need, because there was no chocolate until now. There's no chocolate. Even the chocolate thing, it's a thing that you can have access for. So even the small things that we need help in. If you can help injured people from Gaza, you'll find a lot outside of Gaza. If you want to help the people of Gaza, there's a lot of organizations that act on the ground. You can find also always a help, because a lot of people always ask me, how could we help? Okay, I'm not asking you to get a weapon and go to fight, because we found that not a lot will sacrifice for the cause, and this is not a shame. Yeah. It's about us, it's our land, so this is our fight. But if you care, you have a lot of options to do, a lot of things to act for. You can support Palestine a lot from your place. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.
Motaz, just half an hour ago, maybe an hour ago now, you posted something on Instagram. You posted on your story, and a story in Arabic and a story in English about...
You're a good follower.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And I wanted to know if it would be okay for you to share with everyone here what you posted.
Yeah, actually, Oslo may be my last trip, because since day one, since I left from Gaza, and this is the reason why I left, is because I want to make noise and raise awareness. I want to act to stop the war. I don't know who convinced me that I can stop the genocide. I don't know, someone lied to me. He said, yeah, you can do it, but I don't know, maybe myself. I tried my best. I did a lot, and as I mentioned, sometimes I post things like I feel like, yeah, I will post it like no one will see it. I always forget that I have millions of followers. Because till now I deal myself like my old account, my old me. But yeah, it's a kind I want to save myself, because it's really a lot, and it's kind of okay. I'm proud of myself, but at the same time, don't burn yourself, because in Gaza I was going to lose my life in a days. So okay, I will evacuate to do more, and I found outside the pressure on me is really heavier than the pressure was in Gaza. Like in Gaza, I was, okay, what the worst thing will happen? I'll be killed. Yeah, I already lost a lot, so not because I don't care about my life. No, my life matters. My life is precious, and the Israeli life is not precious more than the Palestinian. This is what I believe in. But I want to save myself, my mental health, which is completely destroyed. A lot of people, some people from Gaza themselves, when they meet me outside here, after 2 hours, they say, damn man, you're so depressed. And they leave and they regret to meet me. Because I still live in a really dark days that I couldn't, pass all what I've been through. And I feel from side, if I will pass it, it's like I'll become a traitor, Like to pass all what's happening, and to just, okay, I'll do what to find in my way, and will not care, I will live my own life. A lot of people did that because, yeah, it's life. Life goes on, even if you lived a nuclear attack or a genocide by Israeli occupation. But I'm trying, I'm still there. I'm here. I'm there. I'll do more. We used to take the responsibility always. I used to do that. So when I left, I came out. I found there's no really one from Gaza who lived through this, and he have now the connections in the whole world to say the truth and to tell the reality in a way that he will find people to listen to. There's a lot of amazing people from Gaza, from Palestine, but they don't have the reach for the people. So I don't want to just put this on the side. I want to use this. So I used all of you to help my people. And then I found that, okay, I'm now, after 14 months, I don't have a stable job. I don't have a stable income. My mom is sometimes, she do a block for me. She blocked me on social media. Yeah, because she want to. She's really proud of me, and the reason I'm here today is because of her. As I was 2016, I entered my college, and she's the one who brought me the camera, and she also the one who paid for my fees to continue. Maybe for our Arab women, the gold is so precious. Yeah, you bring her a gold, she love you. So yeah, she was the one who will sell her gold to bring me the camera, to make sure I'm educated. So yeah, thanks for her. So yeah, she's the reason behind everything I did. And but now she's proud of me, and she wants, okay, Motaz, let's go out. I want to go out with you. She likes when see people stop me and take picture of me, but I don't like this. I've been the guy who always behind the camera, always sit on my own. I don't like people. This is me. Nobody knows who I am really. So, and when I meet people, they are really nice. They want to show respect, and everyone has his own story with me. How he started to follow me, what he see, what he share, what he do in the school, his sons or daughter. But everyone, when I go out, dozens of people meet me, knows me, and everyone will take 7 minutes, 10 minutes to take on the story. So my whole day is about hearing the stories. So okay, I will stay in my bed. I will not leave. And she don't like that. She want me to go out and be with her. Mom, I'm not going out. This is why. Family reasons. We're not really stable, and also after we left, my grandpa passed because he had a stroke a year before the war, and he passed. He passed because there was no access for medicine, and they took him once to the hospital. There's no they will put him on the floor. And sorry, but we're not kind of family that. Sorry to mention that, I don't mean anything, but we're not poor, It was choose the best places, the best hospital for us, This is what my grandma's house happened to him. So even everyone in Gaza start to suffer from things that he didn't used to, because people think in Gaza, people just used to live in tents, and no, we had beautiful houses, bigger than the houses here in Europe, because your house is so small. And yeah, so people don't see Gaza before, and I want just to represent the image of Gaza before, not now. You see a lot of videos, I'm sure. People in the tent, people eating in the sand, people running for the bread. This is not us. This is not us. Literally, this is not us. And I've been trying to make beautiful pictures in Gaza, the real image of the real people, the nice people. And yeah, I get 200 likes in the post. In a war, I go out with my camera, document what's happening. I get millions of views. So yeah, you just want the war. You want to see the war. You had the beauty before, but you didn't care. So I don't like people to care about Gaza just in the war. And when they come to me, they make me feel they come to me with pathetic way. Oh, do you need money? No, I told you, my cause is not about money.
I actually want to ask you. You touched on many things that I want to.
I'm sorry, I ruined your.
Not at all. Not at all.
I'm sorry. But my mom need to watch, so I'll go live on Instagram.
Okay, so I wanted to. I think that your sadness, your depression, is palpable. You can feel it, and you can sense it. And when I saw your post on Instagram, I was surprised, but I'm sure as many people were. But I was also relieved that you decided to focus on yourself, because you are also important as the person you are, Motaz, and not just what you do or what you convey. And I think it's such an important thing for all of us who take energy from you to remember that the person behind the lens, the person behind the story is valuable and is needed. And I wanted to ask you, Ms. Hanagaki, because Motaz is speaking from a place of such clear truth about his frustrations, about the exhaustion of reliving the worst days of his life, about having to advocate in a world that sometimes doesn't seem like it's doing enough. And you, respectfully, as an elder, you have advocated for most of your adult life. You have been reliving your story and the worst day of your life.
And I wanted to know if you had any advice for Motaz. How have you managed to keep resilient, to keep on doing the work over so many years, especially when the world was not listening? Because I think similar to Gaza, nuclear weapons and the abolition is also and has been a trend. You know, it came in waves. Sometimes it was very popular and we had mass demonstrations in the streets. Other times nothing was happening and it was a complete standstill. So I wanted to ask you, and then Motaz wants to respond.
Before she answer, I just wanted you to know that I came here by the elevator. She came by the stairs.
Please, Ms. Rumi, please.
ね、諦めないでもらいたいなって思います。
Yeah,
家族のためにもみんなのガザの人たちのためにも絶対に諦めないで。私もずっと記憶がなかったですけれど、58年間原爆の記憶をなくしてました。で、63歳の時に58年ぶりに原爆の記憶が戻った時に初めてそれから証言みたいなことをするようになったんです。それはとても嫌でした。話すことは。
You don't need to continue all the time, but I hope you don't give up. Actually, I only started speaking about my experience after I've turned 63. For 58 years, I didn't remember anything. I had lost my memory. And suddenly, when I had turned 63, I mean, there are different reasons behind it, but I got back my memory. And that's when I started talking about giving testimonies. But when I started, I hated it. I didn't like it. 嫌でした。
諦めないでもらいたいというのは、私は記憶が58年もなくして、で突然戻ってしまって、それから語り始めた時にものすごくそれがまたその晩まで画面に出てくるんです。場面がね、その時の原爆の時のまんま出てくるから話すのがとても嫌でたまらなかった。でもそれを話すことによって、もし今起きてる核兵器を使わないでほしいっていう思いを伝えることができるならば、私の8月6日が誰にも来ないように頑張らなきゃいけないなっていうふうに自分に言い聞かせています。諦めないで。
So when I say, please don't give up, what I mean is that for 58 years, I said, I didn't have any memory of it. In some ways, I had forgotten about it. Probably, intentionally somehow my body had reacted it. And when I started talking, I didn't like it because it was so vivid. When I speak, it all comes back. And it feels like I'm living it again. And but I guess I decided to keep talking, because if talking is a way for me to tell the world that I don't want the nuclear weapon to be ever used again, to tell the world that I don't want my August 6th to happen to anyone else in this world, I told myself I have to keep going.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point, perhaps, that in this suppression of memory, there has also been time to process somehow, some way, in a way that you, Motaz, obviously, with the genocide being ongoing, haven't had. The Palestinian poet Muhammad al-Kurd has said that Palestinians are only portrayed in the West as terrorists or victims, which is also what you mentioned briefly about you having portrayed beautiful pictures of Palestine, but those
don't get as many likes as all of the brutality and suffering.
I want to ask the question to both of you, but give you the word first, Motaz. Do you feel like your nation and your people are portrayed in ways that connects them first and foremost to suffering, that in the collective memory, we think of Palestine and Hiroshima and first think of pain and suffering?
Yeah, sure. Should I answer first or?
No, please.
Okay. Sure. 2 days ago, I was in the front of the hotel, and in the corner there was 3 young boys standing there, and by chance they started to talk to me in Norway. So I answered with English, and then, where are you from? Yeah, from Gaza. Oh, the war. This is the first thing that they mentioned. 2008, 2011, 2014, 2019, 18, 2021, 2023, on May 2023, October 7, and till now. All these days, it's like very special for anyone from Gaza because it's all about war. For Syria, like Israeli occupation pushed us to, in a way that make us feel if there is no aggression or bombing, you feel like there's something wrong. This is what people from Gaza feel. Yeah, if there was like really peaceful days, like 3-4 days, it's really peaceful, or there's something wrong. Actually, this is what's happening. Because people should understand that the war with Israeli occupation is not just about airstrikes, F-16, Merkava 4, armors, Apache. It's about our existence, because they don't fight you just because they want to kill. No. They fight you in the education. Like Israel now trying to close UNRWA, United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestine Refugees. For your information, 70% of Gaza Strip are refugees. They are like from Palestinian villages who've been occupied by Israel since like 1948 and 1967. They study at UNRWA schools. And UNRWA is like the only United Nations organization that guarantees the right of return for Palestinian refugees. So like it's like a pain in the ass for Israel. And they want to get rid of it. So they're using now tourism, they're sponsored tourism. I used to work with UNRWA and collaborate with them. And I see how the necessary work of UNRWA for people in Gaza. They count on the food aid, they count on schools. Most of the schools in Gaza are from UNRWA. Teachers who work there get paid from UNRWA. The young boys who learn there, they learn through UNRWA. So they're not just fighting you from the side of the war, no, they fight you in different ways. Also in the lands. For me, the most strongest Palestinians ever are the Palestinians who live in Jerusalem and the occupied lands. Once of time I was in the airport and I met someone who's Palestinian, but he was speaking to me like, I didn't know him, but then he showed me his passport. His passport is written by like a state of Israel. It's not a state of Palestine. It's not a Palestinian passport. And unfortunately, when he go like to countries, let's say that doesn't support Israel, he gets a lot of hate speech. Maybe sometimes they kick him out because he's a Palestinian and he believes in that, but on the papers he don't have anything to prove. And the people who stay till now in their houses in Jerusalem, not accepting millions of dollars to sell it to the Israeli occupation settlers. These are also like the most strongest Palestinians till now. Since 1948 until now, they're still resisting in their houses. They're still there. So in every area in the occupied lands, you will find a different type of resistance, a different kind of resilience of the people. Like in the West Bank, if you want to go to another city, a lot of checkpoints around you. If they saw you maybe putting your hand in your pocket, they will shoot you at all. He has a knife, he has a weapon, he is a terrorist. Settlers will come to your land to steal it and burn your house. And if you want to resist them, the army will come, the Israeli occupation army will come and shoot you and kill you. So you should just sit and watch them burning your house, killing your family, stealing your land, and you can't do anything, because they will come and kill you. So I'm asking you from, okay, you can't go to Gaza, but I believe you can go to the West Bank. Go with your Norway passport. You can go and support the resilience of the Palestinians there, who are living still in their lands. You can support the farmers who are in their farms. So in every area in the occupied Palestine, there's a different kind of issues that are happening and struggle. It's not always also like the same. If you want to go to the, let's say, the Jerusalem, I want to pray in the Al-Aqsa Mosque, or I want, as a Christian, I want also to pray in the church. It's not easy. They don't make it easy for you. And for information, let's say, I don't want just to mention, like, it's not about the Jewish, it's about the settlers and the Zionists. But the Zionists hate Christians, the Palestinian Christians, more than the Muslims themselves. They treat them in a really bad way. And you can look to the internet and you can see how they deal with the Christians, especially the Palestinians there. So it's not a religious war. It's about our existence. Anything related to Palestinians, even our hummus, they still our hummus, our food. Right? Most of the time I don't know where I was like 2 months ago, but I was in a market, I found like hummus and falafel, okay, I want to eat. I found out, it's Israeli shop. Okay, what's wrong with people? You know, like when I steal something or lie about something, I can't continue in the lie, but they still continue the lie. They're so perfect in lying and stealing things. So yeah, this is their job.
Ms. Hanagaki, the stories of the Hibakusha have inspired millions of people to fight for disarmament. And yet, we have also learned and heard the stories of the brutal ways in which the Hibakusha were stigmatized in their societies, how orphaned Hibakusha children were mistreated in foster homes and treated as servants in their new families. And in Gaza, we know there are at least 20,000 WCNSF, wounded children, no surviving family. And we must learn from the stories of the Hibakusha so that we can better protect the orphan children in Gaza. I want to ask you, aside from the heroic way in which we paint the reality of the survivors of the atomic bombs, how has it really been to be a survivor? What is the reality of having been a survivor?
被爆者ってこんなだろうって思われると思うんですけれども、ルミさんにとって被爆者であるっていうことは、リアリティとしてはどういうものだろう？
最低。
It's been horrible. Horrible.
As simple as it. So simple.
The worst.
What does it mean for you to be a survivor?
Like, you can call me a survivor after it ends, but it didn't end, so I'm not a survivor. You know? So I didn't say. Yeah, actually, it's not a I don't call myself a survivor. Okay, I survived by my body. I didn't lose any part from my body. And this was very scary for myself. To lose, maybe, okay, to die, that's fine for me, one piece. But as I saw, like, my aunt family are all like a small part of flesh. Like, I slept in the street for days and weeks because I don't want to lose my family because of me. Because being a journalist is not a crime. I should be bombed by tons of missiles because I'm just informing the world. But yeah, even to be a journalist in Gaza, it's like a crime. Yeah, you're like committing crimes for Israel. And also the guilt feeling that doesn't go.
Do you feel a lot of survivor's guilt?
Yeah, sometimes when I come to to forget, or let's say, okay, I will deal with it. Maybe I will take some breath and take a walk. I found someone, he knows me. How do you feel? Okay, he take me back to the first point. So this is why I'd like also to meet a lot of people, because they take me for the first point with all respect. But when you meet a survivor from a genocide and still ongoing, don't ask him how do you feel. You're not so special like for him to tell you the whole story, how do you feel. With all respect, I don't mean an offense to anyone.
Do you feel a lot of survivor's guilt, Ms. Rumi?
あります。
I have felt.
申し訳ないなっていう思いが、
I've
それ
been
とや
feeling
っぱり
very
いとこも亡くなってるし、
A lot of my cousins have died.
だから広島そこへ行くと私は着いてすぐにこんにちはって道をトントンってします。
So, I don't live in Hiroshima anymore, but when I go to Hiroshima, the first thing I do is to, knock the road and say hello.
For many years, the Hibakusha has worked relentlessly to warn the world about the consequences of the atomic bombs and the dangers of believing in nuclear deterrence. What is your message to us at this moment?
今この瞬間、伝えたいことっていうのは何ですかね。
もうまたさっきと同じ言葉ですけどね、子どもたちを救うためにも諦めないでほしいですし、で今何がしてほしいのか、どうしてほしいのか、どうしたらいいのか、そういうこともできることは私たちも手伝いますから言ってもらえたらなって。で私はもうすでにガザの人たちの支援金とかそういうことも動いてますし、で折り鶴もいっぱい折ってパレスチナの方にも送りましたから、できることはやっていきたいし、ただね、折り紙をもらってお腹が膨れるかっていうとそんなことはない。だからこそ食べるものをどうやったら届けられるか。で今エジプトの方も支援物資を届けようとしたらそれが潰されて取られてしまうっていうことも聞きました。ですからどうやったら支援物資を届けられるのか、そういうことを知りたい。私たちも知りたい。
Let me first want to say
because
something.
I look to her and I act like I understand, but
I want to talk about Gaza, if I may. I really want to save children, especially, not that the others don't matter, but, children, I would really like to save. And I would like you to tell us what else we can do. And as much as I can in Japan, I've been trying to, raise funds and, connect with the support organizations. I've folded a lot of paper cranes that are symbol of peace in Japan, and I've delivered them to Palestine. But of course, I'm aware that, paper cranes wouldn't feed people, and it's just symbolic. So I also want to make sure people get food. And I have heard that some of the relief supplies going through Egypt, it's not gonna get to Gaza. So I really want to know what else I can do to help.
I'm not sure actually what you could do for if you are willing to help the people of Gaza and Palestinians, but maybe you can use your place, your name, yourself to have access to allow more aids to enter, to grab the attention more about Gaza, because with all respect to all the sacrifice of Japan and Japanese people, now you have a life in Japan and it's a beautiful country. Everyone wishes to go to Japan, I think, right? Yeah, but they don't allow people to eat in the street. So, yeah, but us, we are in a difficult state. That means yeah, so we are in a really difficult and hard situation. We may lose the last Palestinian city on the sea. Gaza is the last Palestinian city on the sea, for your information. And losing this, yeah, means that the Palestinian cause may disappear. I don't like to say the word, but yeah, you can use. Yeah, you're really maybe good in that, but you can use your connection to raise more awareness and also to make a pressure on the Israeli occupation to allow more aid to enter. And believe me, if you will go to Gaza, people will love you. Believe me. I like it. He's so cute.
でもガザへでも行きますよ。ガザへ行きますよ。
I will come to Gaza one day.
You're welcome my house whenever you come.
Are you gonna carry me on your back?
I could do that.
He's going to carry her on his back. I mean, this is so telling of not just you, Ms. Rumi, but also your whole organization, all the Hibakusha and Nihon Hidankyo who won the award and chose to highlight the situation of Palestine. We all saw the video when they received the call, and a representative from Nihon Hidankyo said, but why haven't someone from Gaza won? Which, yeah. I wonder if you can say something about this connection, about why the Hibakusha uses this incredible moment of celebrity and attention and focus the lens to Palestine.
お祝いムードかもしれないですけど、このねパレスチナガザの話をわざわざしに来てくれたのは何でですか？そのコネクション、そのつながりっていうのは何ですか？
私たちも被爆の証言をもうそれこそ半世紀以上やってきました。それでやっとこう平和についてそれをやってきたっていうこと、核兵器を使わせないっていう思いがあってやってきた半世紀以上の戦いがやっと認められたなっていう思いで、今回は本当に嬉しい気持ちでいっぱいでこちらに寄せていただきました。ですからもう本当に諦めないで、子どもたちを見捨てないで、何とかしてどうしてほしいのか、そして私たちができることは何なのか言ってくれればね、何とかできる、何かできるかなと、そして今国連は何してくれてるんだろうという思いもあります。私たちも国連を何とかね、国連って国際連合って言うんだから、できたら本当にあそこをみんな世界がつながって一つになって戦争を終わらせる、食べるものもいち早く届けられるようにしたいと思いますし、今も泣いてるガザの子どもたち、お母さんの両親がいなくなって困っている子どもたち、本当に泣いてる、泣くこともできないような子どもたちを一人でも一日でも早く助けてあげたいし、抱きしめてあげたい。
So we, the Hibakusha, we have been telling our stories for more than half a century. And, I don't think we have reached any goal yet. But we have been doing this because we don't want nuclear weapons to be ever used again. And with this Nobel Peace Prize, we feel that at least our effort has been recognized. And then how do we want to use it? And we really want to use it to help people in any ways and to end the war. And that's why I asked, what else can we do? I know we are not doing enough, and what else can we do? And again, I really want to help children, children who are crying, orphans. Maybe there are some children who can't even cry anymore. And another part of me is also thinking, what is the United Nations doing? And I feel I really have to pressure the United Nations so that they act more. And it's the United Nations. And 今国連のとこね、国連のところね。Then it's if they have the name United Nations, they have to unite nations so that they don't engage in war, and the world is gonna end. And I really emphasize that any war has to end, and food needs to be delivered to people. And again, I'll do whatever I can do, and that's why I'm here today.
Excellent.
You guys need to stop flirting. Before October 7th, Motaz.
Well, we are in a mutual, relation. We are survivors, so yeah.
You were documenting life, daily life in Gaza to the outside world before October 7th. And then the massacre started, and you spent nights and days risking your life and documenting the atrocities for the outside world.
Yeah.
And together with other journalists and storytellers in Gaza, you've shown us the human consequences of bombing and violence and occupation. How did you manage to wake up every day and take those pictures? And what kept you going?
No, I didn't manage because I didn't sleep. You didn't even have a time to sleep. And even your actual sleep is not like a human sleep. The first days I used to sleep on the floor on the Briss house. After a week they destroyed the Briss house, I used to sleep on the outside of the hospital on the street. But the problem with sleeping outside of the hospital, it's very cold. It was like end of November, December, and it's cold, and the smell of the bodies around you. Also in the morning, your alarm is the screams of mothers and families that come to see their kids or their relatives. So it was days I really wish that I never lived, and I don't want to remember. The smell even itself, I can't forget. As I said, I don't like to compare, because it's not a good thing to compare about, or to compare between Gaza and Hiroshima. It's nothing to compare. But when the US dropped the bomb, they killed 100,000 people. Yeah, but Israel is killing us slowly in front of every day 100, maybe sometimes 1,000 when they are in a good mood to kill. So they're doing this and in front of the whole world. Maybe if people said, "Oh, we didn't know, there was no media to do something" in the days of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But today you have a media, you have access to internet. Everyone on his phone, he can watch, he can see. But today you have more people watching and seeing, witnessing, but you have less actions. Yeah. We don't want that. We want the action. And I really wish that I never reached that much of people in this way. Yeah. I tried my best, but I don't know, the world cares more about the dramatic action, the bombing, the strikes, the killing of the people and the bodies and the burned bodies, but about the life of people under occupation. They just look to it when you are under danger. People, actually I found that.
Have you lost hope?
In who? In what? There are different types of hope. So you need to be selective.
I guess, have you lost hope in the people in power's willingness to do something to stop the genocide? Have you lost hope in people? Have you lost hope in the value of
maybe we can choose more different words, because if you are in a place that you are in power, that means you can do something, but all the world leaders couldn't do anything to stop what's happening. Some of them, I don't like to be the black and white. No, I like to appreciate all the efforts, a lot of people like, okay, allowing more aids to enter, dealing with the negotiations, trying to stop the war. But when you found out that Israel is stronger than any country, when the occupation, who started his state on killing others and stealing more others' land, is stronger than any different country that have a good history, a long history, and amazing nations. There's something wrong in this world, you know. And if staying in your land, maybe I will talk more about myself because I take myself as an example for you to understand more. But like I've been always dreaming about traveling, leaving from Gaza to find a good opportunity. But when the war started, I canceled this idea. But when I found that all my colleagues being killed day by day, and Israeli tanks is the end of my street, and I'm not doing my duty anymore. And I come to duty because this is a personal thing with me. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I should not do that. But all what I did in Gaza, it was a voluntary work, 100%, because it wasn't like a war. I may lose myself in any moment. So yeah, nobody did anything to stop it really. We didn't find this. What I find that the first days I started to travel, I met someone, and I respect him that he cares, but in his place he should do more. He's like the High Commissioner for Human Rights. I went to Switzerland. I met him, and he asked me that, is really Israel killing civilians? This is the first question. So okay. He was emotional. He was like showing goodwilling, but I told him, excuse me, but if they are not killing civilians, what I'm doing here? So, but I found that even in social media, I think there's a people in power that they don't see this. Yeah. And even when you reach them and tell them and show them, and in the end he told me Israel kicked me out and kicked my office out from Israel and occupied lands and Jerusalem and the West Bank. I can't do my work there. And this is just one case. There's a lot. But at least I respected that he's trying. And he said the truth for me. He didn't say, okay, I will do and take a picture. No, that's it. No. He told me I'm trying. But there's like other bad politicians that I've been used a lot from. Some politicians because, okay, maybe you like Motaz, okay? And when you see like picture of Motaz, because you believe in me, you'll trust me always. So they use this trust for themselves, but they use my need for the help of my people to clear their image. And I hate this, but at the same time, I'm not in a position that allow me to say yes and no, you know? And this is really hard. And nobody told me. I just woke up, I found myself in a genocide. I'm documenting it like I did before. I'm documenting aggressions and wars and what Israel do. And nobody told me. Nobody told me I'll be here today. Nobody told me what to do. I'm not having the experience. I gained all the experience through this. Meeting people, learning from my mistakes. Okay, I'm good in learning from my mistakes, but sometimes my mistakes big. But yeah, so nobody told us. Nobody told me that me and my friend who used to take picture with in Gaza, he will send me a voice note on WhatsApp, because my phone number was with everyone. So I received a lot of messages, and I didn't answer him. I didn't see the message. And a week after, I was with some people I'm meeting, and I found in the news that he got killed for waiting a flower in Gaza City by Israeli sniper. I looked to his name, I found him that sent me a message I didn't see. And he asked me to help him, to evacuate him, to send him some aid. And he just was in Egypt days before the war. He got back. He was just a dreamer like me. You know, he just wanted to travel, take pictures, make art. He don't like the wars. I was always, in any aggression, call him, hey, Muhammad, come. Come with me, we'll like to work to document. But hey man, I don't like aggressions. I don't want even to capture any kind of rubble or just bad colors, we call it. Well, he's making art, beautiful pictures. And yeah, he was just waiting for a flower to eat. Me and him were always like in any restaurant eating food and always like inviting each other. We sit together on the sea, taking pictures, and like he take pictures of me. He don't send it to me. I take picture of him. I don't send it to him. So all the chat, hey, send the picture. I'm saying, okay, send me my picture. So you know, but nobody sent any picture for anyone. But I wish I did. You know, yeah, I wish I did. And yeah,
I want to say two things, and then I'm going to close this part of the conversation because we have to have time for at least a few questions. And the things that you were saying now, Motaz, and the intention that I set at the beginning of this, I want you to know, even though the situation you're describing with politicians, for some reason there's a divide between the people who lead us and the people. It's been like that for forever. We know this. But the issue of Palestine and Gaza is the largest people movement in the world. And there are many people who are sitting in this room, and there are many more people all across Norway who sadly are not the people sitting in places of power, but we are doing what we can. I think we're doing a lot. And I just want to say that to give maybe a little pinch of hope, not to placate, not to play up to, not because we think that it's enough. We know it's not enough. But just to say it, that there, and I know you know, but I just think it's important to say it for us together, to remind ourselves, and that somehow we will find a way to bridge the gap between the people in power and people. Somehow we will find a way. And we know what we have to do in Norway. We know what we have to do because Norway is financing so much of this occupation. So we have our mission plan ready. Yeah, and we also know who we are definitely not voting for next year.
Like,
and
you see that? It's
yes.
Like what's happening in Gaza. It make different things for people and good for the other people, not for good for us. You know, it's now good for you, but not good for me while I'm dying. You know.
And this is the thing, because I know that everyone in this room, and I know that the message that we will convey from now until September next year, when the election is that we will not vote for ourselves. We're not going to vote for the causes that impact our lives, our tax money, our children's barnehage. We are all going to vote for the people of Gaza. That's what we're going to vote for. And it's not a lot, but it's what we have, and it's what we can give you.
Thank you so much. That's enough.
Khalas. I want to ask you, Ms. Rumi, as the last question to you before I ask a final question to you, Motaz.
Yeah.
How can we, as activists, as humans, as citizens, protect your legacy, and how can we continue to convey your message?
被爆者のね、今ノーベル賞をもらえるとこまで来るのには半世紀以上もかかりましたね。
So it took us more than half a century for us to get to this place, to even just be recognized and get a Nobel Peace Prize.
ガザのこと50年も60年も待っていられない。
But I know we can't for Gaza we can't wait 50 years to be recognized, for the issue to be acknowledged.
今ですよ、動かなきゃ。
And, right now, we have to act.
Thank you.
あとはまあもちろん核兵器の廃絶はずっと続けていくし、で言葉としてはね、殺すな殺されるなっていう言葉が私たちにはあります。だからもういっぱい殺されましたけれども、それによって人を殺すなっていう思いも持っています。だから殺すな殺されるなっていうのは私たちが被爆者がずっと抱えていて、これからも核兵器廃絶のためにはその言葉を使い続けたいなっていうふうには思っています。
And maybe to put it a bit more broadly, we as Hibakusha, we say something like this, don't kill, don't get killed. So, you shouldn't kill, meaning, you should not engage in war, but because sometimes you become victims and you have hatred and all this, but never kill people because you want to revenge. That's what Hibakusha have been having as motto. So that is something that, that in that context, we have been working towards nuclear weapons abolition. So not to spread, hatred and the cycle of killing, but rather to stop it. That's what we have been holding up to, and maybe that's something that, other people can take with you too.
Thank you. Are you still taking pictures?
No. I've been dying to find someone to bring me equipments to Gaza when I was in the war. And for any photographer, he knows how much equipment means to the photographer. So I've been always like the guy who's running, and also like the batteries inside me. And I like myself when I'm taking pictures. But when I went out, I didn't like, what should I capture now? I feel in a way like, okay, my eye lost something about capturing the beauty, but at the same time, I don't feel it's the right time. So okay, I got the equipment, but okay, what should I capture now? I had an old dream. I want to be a travel photographer with my equipment with me. So I start to travel here and there. I found that I don't use anything I just use my phone. And I have like 40 kilograms on my back, breaking my back, traveling everywhere with it and do nothing with it. So I said, okay, now maybe it's not the time for the camera. Even maybe I wish like I filmed everything I've been through. But yeah, I didn't. And I don't shoot anymore, but I wish to do it again. Maybe when I go back to Gaza. Or maybe when the war stops and continue my dream. Just want to make sure that I helped my cause in a good way. I did my part, and yeah.
I hope you find your way back to your space behind the lens.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
I hope that. Sadly, we only have time for one question to the both of you. Before I give the word to Lina Khateeb, what do you consider the most effective action individuals can take to foster peace?
Just because you keep saying I'm flirting with her, I'm not, She jokes.
Miss Rumi, you can begin.
できるね、もうすぐに言ってね、どっちかというと日本も私はちょっと政治家を変えたいと思ってるんですけど、なかなか思うようにいかない。半分くらいは言ったかなと思いますけれども、それはやっぱり 核を持って核を制する、持ってるから戦ってくるなっていう、そういうやり方っていうのはもともと間違ってると思いますから、やっぱり核兵器そのものをなくす、そのものをなくしてしまう、使うなじゃなくって作らない、なくす、そういうことが、それが一番大事ですし、やっぱりガザもそうですし、イスラエルでも武器を作って儲けるっていうその発想がものすごく私は嫌ですし怖いです。やっぱりその発想そのものをね、国連がちょっと抑える力ができないのかなと。武器を作って売るって、やっぱり武器を買うとこはどこが買うのってでしょ。でその買った国はその武器を何に使うのか、そういうことをやっぱりちゃんと見なきゃいけないし、世界はそこへ人々は目をつけていかないと、じっと見てそれを制していくような目力も気遣いも必要かなっていうふうには私は思いますけれども、この年になったら何をしてああしてこうしてって言われてもみたいなところがあるので、だから言いたいことだけは言いますし、で自分の力で小さい力でもできることはしたいし、そして今子どもたちがお腹が空いてる、私はね今子どもたち孫たちにも言います。ご飯を残さないで食べなさいと。残しそうだったら最初からね少しにしときなさいって言うんです。やっぱり食べられない子どもがいっぱいいるのにもったいないでしょって、その子たちにあげようよって、そういう意味でもやっぱり食べるものをすぐにでも届けてあげたいし、そういう意味でやっぱり国連しっかりしてほしいと思います。
Well, a lot of things, but I want to change. I guess we want to change politicians in Japan, and that's one of the things we want to do. Work towards changing politicians to better politicians. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail. And about nuclear weapons, I think we have to change this concept or this belief that nuclear weapons can work as deterrence, or nuclear weapons can be seen as power. And we as individuals have to be part of changing discourses. And, I've always believed that this nuclear deterrence is a wrong way to think about nuclear weapons. But, we should also start talking about not just not using nuclear weapons, but, removing nuclear weapons altogether from this world. And so it's not just about not using, but it's about not making as well. So if we look at the situation in Gaza as well, there are weapons that are being involved, because they are making profit. Somebody is making profit because they are buying weapons, they're selling weapons, and that has to change. And we as individuals also have to change the mindset that we are allowed to make profit out of weapons that can kill people. And again, I think we have to put pressure on the UN that there are some things that is done to do that.
The worst of the one who is making profits from the weapons given to Israel, the one who I don't know who did that the first days, but once of time I was in the airport, I found someone have like a sticker on his and he's selling it. He's selling my face in every place he go. So like I was in Gaza there, I don't know what's happening outside. And I like that this is a kind of support, but I found a lot of people using this using us, people of Gaza, in a bad way. Yeah, I don't mean the people who are wearing it now, no. I mean there's others who like using this to make money, using the cause to make money, using the kofia, using the t-shirt, using the journalists. Yeah, and so just be careful. Whatever you give your money for, please, just deal with the offshore organizations. Don't give your money to anyone, because when the war starts, there's a lot of people who showed up. They don't care about people's lives, but they care about the money. So if you are the one who like to donate or something, make sure where your money goes. Yeah, thank you.
I think I'd like us to stand up and give a proper round of applause.
Thank you. Oh. Okay.
Not you two.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please sit.
Ella. Okay, before I leave, I want to take a small video for the people of Gaza. So if you want to give a message. I'm moving to Japan soon. So yeah, it will be a message for the people of Gaza. If you want, I don't know, deal on a one word you want to say it, I will share it on my social media and on Facebook, because Facebook is for the people of Gaza. Most of us use Facebook. We're old-fashioned. So yeah, I'll start to record whatever you want to say. It's up to you. 1, 2, 3.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Stop funding genocide! Netanyahu terrorist! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Well done. Woo. Please sit.
Thanks so much.
Before you two disappear, I would have the great honor, second last thing I do tonight, is to give the microphone and the stage to our leader, the leader of the Palestine Committee of Norway, Khateeb.
The people who are affected by these wars carry scars that will never properly heal. For some of the survivors of Hiroshima, it has been difficult to talk about their experiences. The burden of reliving, retelling, is for many a plight, but it can also be a heavy burden. Many survivors find it hard to accept that they live, while their friends, their family, people they know are not alive. And many Palestinians who are witnessing the genocide in Gaza without being able to stop it also feel this guilt. We see the everyday destruction. We see the attacks on family, on friends, on colleagues, or just common human beings. We see people who are looking for shelter, looking for bread, looking for medical treatment, and still being killed, being forcibly displaced, being starved. So to ease the burden of those bearing witnesses of the genocide happening today, and the witnesses of those who witnessed the attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki almost 80 years ago, what we can do is to show that we listen, we see, and we will carry their messages forth. we can show that we are working together with them to stop the annihilation of Gaza and fight together for a world where the worth of every human life and our nature, this planet that we share, is our first priority. Show that we fight for justice and a world without war and fear-mongering. Our plight, us, is to make sure that we act upon what we hear, what we witness, and the stories being told to us help us understand and make us act. We have applied to ask and work for justice, and that life, not war, is the goal. And we do that by protesting. On Saturday, 14th, you can come 2:30 to the protest outside the parliament. On Sunday, 15th, there is also a protest at 15:00 where you can show up. But I want to share something else, because the Nihon Hidankyu, the survivors of the atomic bomb, when they came to Oslo this time, they also carried with them seeds. Seeds from trees that survived the nuclear attack in 1945. It has its own word in Japanese, trees that survived an atomic attack. They are called hibaku yumuku. And they hope that as we see the seeds grow into trees, we will also see a world with peace. And from the ruins, there are seeds that can grow, that will grow. The destruction of humanity is not possible as long as we insist on life and love. And I will end here today by reciting a poem by a Palestinian poet, Fadwa Tuqan, from Nablus, who lived and died a long time ago, but whose words are still alive today. Her poem is called Enough for Me. It's enough for me to die on her earth, be buried in her, to melt and vanish in her soil, then sprout forth as a flower, played with by a child from my country. Enough for me to remain in my country's embrace, to be in her, close as a handful of dust, a sprig of grass, a flower. Thank you.
Free, free, free.